The energy around the Philadelphia Eagles has just shifted in a major way, and if you're an NFL fan, you can feel it building already. This is the kind of move that doesn't just fill gaps on a roster. It changes how teams prepare, how quarterbacks sleep at night, and how entire game plans are designed. Reports are circulating that the Eagles have added 2 elite-level pass rushers to their defensive front, and while details are still settling in, one thing is already clear: this defense is aiming to become the most feared unit in the National Football League. What makes this story so compelling isn't just the headline, it's the strategy behind it. The Eagles have built a reputation in recent years for prioritizing dominance in the trenches, especially on the defensive line. Instead of relying solely on secondary coverage or blitz-heavy schemes, they invest heavily in generating pressure with their front four. That philosophy has proven successful time and time again, and now, by adding 2 more high-impact edge rushers, they're doubling down on what already works. Think about what elite pass rush really does in today's NFL. Quarterbacks are faster, smarter, and more protected than ever before. Offensive schemes are built around quick releases, motion, and spacing. Yet, despite all that evolution, pressure remains the ultimate equalizer. When a defensive line can collapse the pocket consistently without needing extra blitzers, it disrupts timing, forces mistakes, and creates turnovers. That's exactly what the Eagles are trying to amplify here. What's even more interesting is how this move fits into the broader roster construction. The Eagles already had a strong defensive front rotation, known for depth and relentless energy. They don't just rely on one star player, they rotate bodies to keep everyone fresh deep into the fourth quarter. By adding 2 more elite rushers, they're not just improving their starting lineup, they're strengthening their rotation, ensuring that opposing offensive lines face constant pressure from start to finish. Imagine being an opposing offensive coordinator preparing for this defense. You're not just planning for one dominant edge rusher, you're preparing for waves of them. Every snap brings a different combination, different angles, and different problems. It forces offenses to keep extra blockers in, which limits receiving options and simplifies coverage responsibilities for the defense. That ripple effect is what turns a good defense into a great one. Another key factor here is how this impacts the secondary. When quarterbacks have less time to throw, defensive backs don't have to cover as long. That leads to tighter coverage, more contested passes, and more opportunities for interceptions. Even average secondaries can look elite when the pass rush is doing its job, and the Eagles are clearly betting that their upgraded front will elevate the entire defense. From a team identity standpoint, this move sends a strong message. The Eagles aren't just trying to compete, they're trying to dominate. They're building a defense that imposes its will, one that dictates the pace of the game rather than reacting to it. In a league where offense often gets the spotlight, a defense like this can become the defining feature of a championship run. It's also worth considering the timing of this move. Roster upgrades like this don't happen in a vacuum. They're calculated decisions based on the current competitive window, the strength of the division, and the trajectory of the conference. The Eagles clearly believe that now is the time to push harder, to close the gap between being a contender and being the team everyone else is chasing. Of course, adding talent is only part of the equation. How these players fit into the system will be crucial. Chemistry, coaching, and scheme all play major roles in whether a move like this reaches its full potential. The good news for Eagles fans is that the organization has shown a strong ability to integrate new pieces effectively. Their coaching staff understands how to maximize defensive line talent, using rotations, alignments, and situational packages to get the best out of each player. Another angle to look at is the psychological impact. Defenses that consistently generate pressure create frustration for quarterbacks and offensive lines. That frustration leads to mistakes, missed assignments, forced throws, and breakdowns in communication. Over the course of a game, and even more so over a season, that mental pressure can be just as damaging as the physical hits. And let's not forget the playoff implications. When the postseason arrives, games tend to slow down, and every possession becomes more important. Flashy offenses can sometimes be neutralized, but a strong pass rush travels well. It works in any weather, against any opponent, and in any situation. By strengthening this area, the Eagles are preparing not just for the regular season, but for the kind of high-stakes games that define legacies. For fans, this is the kind of move that builds excitement and confidence. It shows commitment from the front office, a willingness to invest in winning, and a clear vision for the team's future. It also raises expectations, because when you assemble this level of talent, the goal isn't just to make the playoffs, it's to go all the way. There's also a broader trend here that's worth noting. Across the NFL, teams are recognizing the value of elite pass rushers more than ever. As offenses continue to evolve, defenses are responding by prioritizing speed, versatility, and disruption up front. The Eagles are not just following this trend, they're trying to stay ahead of it. At the same time, it's important to stay grounded. Even the most exciting moves need to translate onto the field. Injuries, adjustments, and competition all play a role in how a season unfolds. But on paper, this is the kind of upgrade that has the potential to shift the balance of power. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, this move is about more than just two players. It's about identity, philosophy, and ambition. It's about building a defense that doesn't just respond to challenges, but creates them. It's about putting pressure literally and figuratively on every opponent that lines up against them. As the season approaches, all eyes will be on how this new-look defensive front performs. Can they live up to the hype? Can they turn potential into production? Can they become the dominant force the Eagles envision? Those are the questions that will define this storyline moving forward. One thing is certain, though the conversation around the Eagles has changed. They're no longer just a solid team with a balanced roster. They're becoming a team with a clear edge, a team that could redefine what defensive dominance looks like in today's NFL.